Hello everyone and welcome back to the FIDE Grand Prix. It's Maxime, Vachier, Lagrave with the white pieces against Nepomniachtchi. Yesterday we've seen a game where Nepo won. Maxime tried his Gruenfeld defense and Nepo was able to break through it. And now Maxime has to win on demand with the white piece. So we don't have any new photos. We only have the ones we saw yesterday, so we're not going to be enjoying any today. But it's very interesting that, well, that's what I meant in yesterday's video, that Nepo is a very peculiar player. Most players would choose a very calm opening, something that, can ensure that you can easily trade down and go for a simple endgame or something like that, but not Nepo. Nepo won a game against the Gruenfeld and now he plays the Gruenfeld against Maxime. And it's a very different Gruenfeld than the one they played yesterday. So without further ado, let's check it out. Maxime opens with d4. We have knight to f6, c4, g6, and now the early h4 by Maxime. And it's very interesting that this move has only been played a few times, but only in 2019. So I don't know if this has anything to do with Alpha Zero or with the game changer or everything that's been going on around Alpha Zero, but it's very interesting that h4 has never been played before, and Alpha Zero always plays h4 pretty much against every opening, and now in 2019 people have started playing it. But okay, bishop g7 with knight to c3, d5 now, so the Gruenfeld with the inclusion of h4, and now h5, well, h5 by white. We have knight captures on h5 and now c captures on d5. And it's interesting, but Nepo already faced this as black against Alexander Grishuk in the Amsterdam Rapid Tournament in April. That game was won by Nepo, so probably Maxime prepared something very special. We have e6. Nepo continues in the same fashion he did against Grishuk, but now d captures on e6 was played by Grishuk, but here we have g4, and g4 is a new move, so already as of move 7, we have a completely new game, and it is quite a game. With knight back to f6 by Nepo, and now d captures on e6. We have bishop captures on e6, and now e4, advancing the pawns even further in the center, and now Nepo just grabs the g4 pawn with bishop captures on g4. We have f3, bishop goes back to e6, and now Maxime is down a pawn, but he does have a massive center, which is, well, you always have a massive center in when you play against the Gruenfeld, but here you are also down a pawn. And here bishop to g5. It's, well, you could try d5 right away, but after black moves the bishop, you can continue bishop g5, h6, let's say bishop e3, and now black will still play c6 like he did in the game, and it doesn't help you anything. You cannot go d6. You could, but the knight will just go here. Black will castle to safety, and this pawn will be undermined later as the e5 square is nicely guarded by the d7 knight. So the pawn will be too advanced. So after bishop to e6, we have bishop to g5. Maxime is still flexible with the pawns in the center. h6, bishop back to e3. And now c6, taking control of d5. We have knight g to e2, and now not castling right away, but first bishop to c4. Well, if the white knight, for example, comes to g3, then you can trade down even further. We have queen to c2, now comes queen to a5, and knight to f4. Captures as was planned, and knight to a6, preparing knight to b4, so Maxime stops it with a3, and now knight back to c7, and king f2. The king will be much safer there, and also you can just transfer the rooks to the king side if the black king castles. But Nepo decides to go for g5. So pushes the knight further back. The knight can come to e2, for example, e2, knight g3 to f5. f5 will be an excellent square for the knight, but first b4, pushing the black queen further back. Queen to a6, and now not knight to e2, but rather knight to d3, probably with the idea of going knight to c5 or e5 perhaps in some lines, but perhaps knight to e2 was more correct with the idea of knight g4 to f5. Here we have queen to c4, not waiting for knight to c5, and now comes rook 8 to c1. We have knight to d7. preparing this f5 thrust, and now knight to b2, pushing the queen back. We have queen back to e6, and now knight to e2. So now the knight is coming to g3 and then to f5, only a little bit later than it should have. And the situation on the clock is 48 minutes for MVL and 1 hour for Nepo. We have knight to b5 now, going for the a3 pawn. We have a4 pushing the knight back, and now knight to d6. So a free remaneuvering of the knight. We have knight to g3. The knight from d6 now controls f5, so this shouldn't be a problem, but also it supports the f5 thrust. So f5, a very nice pawn sacrifice by Nepo. It completely eliminates white's strong center. We have pawn captures on f5, and now queen to d5. A nice centralizing move with the queen. And now, for the moment, the material is equal, but white's pawn structure is shattered in the center. And here, if you just do nothing, if you wait, black will just castle, bring the rook over to the f-file, pick up the f5 pawn, and, well, just continue the game, again being up a pawn and having a better position. So, Maxime went to knight to c4. It is the strongest move recommended by the engine, but this is, again, one of those positions where the strongest move recommended by the engine will not achieve victory, since it allows Nepo to too easily trade down into a better endgame. So here Nepo just trades. We have knight captures, queen captures, we have queen captures, rook captures, and knight to b6, attacking the rook and the a4 pawn. We have rook to c5. And now Nepo could go for the a4 pawn, but this would allow Maxime to further complicate matters with f6, attack the bishop. After bishop captures rook f5, you still prevent the black king from castling, and with the two rooks still being out of commission, it would be possible to you know, look for some poison in the position. For example, if bishop e7, you can even go d5, and if c captures bishop d4, you attack the rook. Now after rook to h7, you can go rook to a1, and it's a really messed up position where anything can happen, and it's not going to be easy to even draw this with either side. So anything can happen here. So Nepo just says, I don't care about your pawn, I'm just gonna castle. We have a5 by Maxime, and now knight to d5, going after the bishop here. Maxime pushed a6 here, and it was in this position that Maxime Vachier, Lagrave, and Jan Nepomniachtchi agreed to a draw. I don't think Nepo actually offered a draw, even though he's better in this position. I think it was actually Maxime who offered it, because he knows that there is no way to do anything. Well, you can only lose this with white. You can't do anything other than that. You can draw or lose. So I think it was Maxime who offered the draw, as the move 30, they are beyond move 30, so I guess it's okay to offer a draw here. But this is not the end for Maxime. There's still a way for him to reach the candidates tournament. Let me just show why. For example, if rook 8 to e8 comes with a double attack on the bishop, and if pawn captures, you're just going to capture the bishop. b8 queen, the rook can move, and now you capture the knight, and after rook captures on b4, there's nothing white can do here. The d4 pawn is under attack, you have a passed a pawn, so if anyone will win this, it's going to be black. So after a6, they drew the game, and Nepo now proceeds to the finals of the FIDE Grand Prix, and there he will face, well, either David Navarra or Wei Yi, depends on who wins their semifinal match. It's still being played, so I don't know how game 2 will end up. We're definitely going to check it out, but if Nepo wins the finals, then Nepo gets the spot in the candidates tournament, and the MVL is out for sure. If Nepo fails to win the FIDE Grand Prix finals, then MVL gets a spot in the tournament. So there's still a possibility for both of them to reach the tournaments. For example, if Nepo loses in the finals, then MVL goes into the candidates tournament, but probably Nepo will be given the wild card, so he will probably also qualify that way. But you know, it's going to be interesting. We're just going to have to wait and see. So that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. A very interesting approach to the Gruenfeld, especially that 3h4 move, which you know, I do believe AlphaZero had a lot to say about that, and that's why everyone is playing it now in 2019. But then again, could be a lot of other things. I would like to thank Expanding Your World and Boris Kogan for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing with the coverage of the FIDE Grand Prix, checking up on your wonderful suggestions, and as always, whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all, I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.